Hi, and welcome to this Hack-On session. It's a pleasure for me to welcome Tomas Beinaravičius today to this Hack-On on ITSec Pro.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Tomas Beinaravičius, as it was mentioned, and welcome from sunny Vilnius, actually. I will be talking about Office 365 investigations, which actually was renamed to Microsoft 365 investigations. And well, actually, it didn't change much. It didn't change much in the setup of how Microsoft approached the things, and didn't change much how we should do investigations. Actually, if you have questions, then just shoot on the QA QA side, and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. So don't wait for questions at the end. There will be some time for questions at the end, so also you can ask questions at that time. Otherwise, we I think good to start. What I will be talking about in this session, it won't be very technical. It is technical, but actually if you were having time to do something with Office 365, it might be not very new for you. On the other hand, I will cover quite good basics about how we shall deal with Office 365 in case we have some sort of incident. And speaking about myself, there is lots of fancy letters next to my name denoting which certifications I do have, but actually I was head of incident response at Swedbank for last 5 years before I have joined Transcendent Group. So incident response was something I was dealing from day-to-day on day-to-day basis, and this is something I actually this is experience I actually got from my previous job or my current job with other clients, and what I would like to share with you so you wouldn't step on the same holes and fall in the same holes as I did some time ago. Good. So why we're talking about Office 365 and what are the most common modus operandi for attacks on Office 365 is, of course, business email compromise. And the business email compromise is, well, it's not really something very technical hacks. It usually starts with in the nutshell, it starts with some sort of phishing. User enters credentials, then some part of that user's email is being redirected to somewhere else. Attacker analyzes everything that happens in that mailbox and then tries to use that information for good or for bad, usually for the bad. Usually it's about money, of course. Usually it's about fake invoices or something around that. In rare cases, they try to steal confidential information, but that's not really so often. And well, as this is really not very technical part of intrusion, I won't stop there for a long, actually. On the other hand, maybe it's worth to stop a little bit and explain one more type of attacks, which is credential stuffing, and how it works. Well, credential stuffing is a little bit, you might know actually brute force attacks, and credential stuffing is actually brute forcing is when you take one account and try to apply multiple passwords to it. Credential stuffing is you take single password and apply that to multiple accounts at once. So actually, credential stuffing started being more prolific type of attacks recently because it actually scales very well. However, defense methods are different in brute force attacks and credential stuffing attacks. For brute force, you have to have complex password and actually password lockout, and that's enough. For credential stuffing, complex password is not enough if it's reused in multiple accounts, and one account password leaks, then you can reuse that password for other accounts of that user. So defense methods are actually either unique password for each of the accounts or multi-factor authentication. Yeah. And speaking about overall security measures, so my secret for how you could secure Office 365 tenant, there are actually three things you can do. First is enable multi-factor authentication. Second is enable multi-factor authentication. And the third one is enable multi-factor authentication. And if you have logging enabled, you are usually good to go. There is actually no a single reason why you shouldn't use multi-factor authentication in Office 365, because it really prevents 99.9% of attacks. That's no doubt about it. About logging, there's another story around it. I will tell it a bit later. But first of all, if you haven't enabled multi-factor authentication on your Office 365 tenant, then please do that now. I mean, seriously, there's no any reason why you should delay that. And why is that? Well, this is actually real example of one account and number of failed logons per day. So actually, attackers are hammering some of the mailboxes that are published online. For example, there's information published online. They're really hammering. They try passwords. If you have a weak password on the account, there's good chance that they will break in at some point. So actually, multi-factor authentication can prevent that and will prevent that in majority of the cases. Good, but then, okay, what's that incident when you have incident eventually? How you should proceed actually? What are the measures that you can do, and what are the steps actually that you should do? if we speak about basics of incident investigation, they are really simple. I mean, you should answer who, what, when, where, and how about the incident. And there are some steps actually that you should do. Well, first of all, you have to do some immediate action. There are some things that you have to do immediately when you learn about incident without delay of any sort. You should plan investigation. Later on, when you learn first steps, you have to do some planning, collect the data, analyze the data, do corrective actions, and do reporting. That's kind of simple as that. I won't stop here because it's probably not so interesting, but probably takeaway for you should be, well, that there should be something done immediately, and then you should plan a little bit how you proceed further on. Usually when shit hits the fan, the management and DPO starts running. And usually they have some questions to administrators, to IT managers, and so on. First question is, of course, what did attacker access? That implies actually, first of all, how long attacker maintained access. Was PII what PII was exposed or was at risk, because that implies which information have to be reported to data processing authorities. For yourself and for the sake of investigation, you should also try to answer a question: what other sensitive information could be accessed? For example, were there any passwords sent on email? Was any sensitive business information accessed? That's not very trivial to answer. Actually, in many cases, we only know that that certain mailbox was compromised, and potentially all information in that mailbox was also compromised. But we cannot say that for sure, and I will explain a little bit later. Of course, there's a question: how many other accounts were compromised? Is that only one account? Is that isolated incident? Is that something more widespread? Important question also: does the attacker maintain access right now? Is there anything that you should do to kick attacker out immediately? And of course, the question for 1 million kronos is: who was the attacker and what was his motive? And that is sometimes easy to answer, sometimes it's not. So probably that question will always be asked. That question probably not so easy to answer each time. Good. And then actually when we come to the investigation steps, actually there are a couple of things you have to do immediately, and I will show you also why. But actually you have to collect the logs. You have to do preservation hold. You have to verify, check Active Directory sign-ins. You have to check current rules for forwarding. Once again, investigate logs. There are many logs there. And that should be done also both on one individual mailbox which was compromised level and also on the tenant level. So you will have the whole picture. Good. First of all, priorities. When you have the incident, you are running out of time immediately. Because actually, Azure Active Directory sign-ins are kept for 7 days for some license types. If you're lucky, it's 30 days. If you're unlucky, actually you don't have access to Active Directory sign-ins, and that's nothing you can do about it. Deleted email, you have by default, if the email is deleted, it is deleted permanently within 40 days. If you did some preparation, you can change that to 30 days, but still 30 days is the maximum how long deleted email is being kept. So that's not really a long time. Usually when you notice the incident, it could be well that it's 2 weeks already ongoing, or even more. Message trace logs are kept for 90 days, and Exchange admin audit logs are also by default kept for the 90 days. When we speak about unified audit logs or mailbox logs, they are kept for one license as 90 days. If you have E5 license for Office 365, you have 1 year retention period. And well, that is something that actually that's why you should actually start investigation as soon as possible. The sooner you will start, the more information you will have going forward. So how you can, one thing that you have to do immediately is the preservation hold. Preservation hold is actually part of e-discovery in Office 365. What it does, it says saves the current state of the mailbox for indefinite amount of time, and it actually doesn't disturb users at all. So user experience doesn't change, except that the current state is preserved. So emails are not deleted. Previous emails are also kept. So putting that is really useful for to have a little bit more time for yourself. Logon times. Well, when you start investigating logon times, actually Active Directory usually is not very very useful, because it usually keeps rather short time of the log. So 7 days is quite common quite common setting. Unified audit log can be longer. What actually, first thing probably what you want to do is to look for strange locations. In our geographies, I mean, Scandinavia, Baltic countries, what's not, people are usually people do not travel so much, especially right now. So if you see connections from some funky locations like Nigeria, that could be a good sign of initial compromise, and then you can start digging from there. Well, and then at some point you will come to the unified audit log. With the unified audit log, what unified audit log does, it shows kind of the whole access history, the whole history of what was happening in the mailbox. However, there are a couple of things that you have to know and remember. First of all, PowerShell is the only one reliable way to search unified audit log. Why is that? Well, because first of all, if you do search with GUI, GUI search limit returns 50,000 items without any warning about that. So you will really want to know that you didn't get or you did get incomplete log. You actually have to use PowerShell to get logs, first of all. There are cases that unified audit log is not enabled. Actually, for that, there are something that you can do. For example, you can use search admin audit log. Admin audit log also shows some information. It's much less than in unified audit log, but still something. There is still something that that you can do. What you can for the tooling, well, Office 365 Extractor is one of the tools that you could use to extract logs from Office 365. There are more tools. Some of them are better, some of them are worse, but something along those lines you could use. Good, and then we are coming to the ugly part. I mentioned in the previous slide that unified audit log, well, that unified part is a bit they are unified just a bit. I mean, the format is fine, except you have currently it's a bit better, but actually just 1 year ago, client IP is something you would like to filter on when you try to do investigations. So my advice: don't do that. First of all, extract all the logs and then try to parse them as flat files, because, well, client IP you can have in multiple formats. For example, client IP could be like regular IPv6 IP. It could be IPv6 IP with a port. And in some rare cases, IP address can actually be in other field, which is called client IP address. Currently, well, I just did one investigation very recently, just a month ago, probably. Currently, this is not a big deal, because this client IP addresses is already copied to client IP field. But still, you can have at least 6 formats for client IP. And if you will search just for IP address, in some cases it won't match. So the forms are regular IPv6 address. Then it could be IPv6 with a port. It could be zeros. It could be IPv6 localhost. It could be IPv6 address, and it could be IPv6 with port number. And that all of them you have to take into consideration. Bonus, it could be also empty field, of course. So unification is not really something Microsoft is good at, and you have to know about that. The other thing is that mailbox logs are really guaranteed to E5 license only. If you have other license, you could potentially have problems if you're unlucky. If, for example, this is actually from real Microsoft documentation. If mailbox auditing already appears to be enabled on the mailbox, but your searches return no results, change the value of the audit enabled parameter to false, and then back to true, of course. Switch off, switch on, and then you go. So actually, what Microsoft says, it's more or less your problem to ensure that you have logs. It's not Microsoft's problem. We really had cases where audit logs were missing from unified audit logs. Microsoft denies that, but it was real case, and the thing that you cannot rely on the logs really terrifies me as an incident handler. So really have that in mind. I also mentioned that GUI is not something you want to use for investigation, because it really returns only 50,000 events without any warning. This is actually I tried to extract information from one of the logs. Well, you extract information, you got a CVS file, check the first rows, okay, the time is more or less correct. The checking the end lines, the also end time is also more or less correct. Well, you have 50,000 records, and that means that they are spread across, and some of the records are really missing. So don't use GUI for log extractions unless you are, I don't know, really know what you're doing. And even then, don't use them. And when you finish with when you extract the logs, actually, what you also want to really do immediately is check mailbox rules. You can do that in Exchange Admin Center. You could do that with PowerShell. There are multiple ways how to do that, and really check them, because mailbox rules are one of the persistent methods, or most common persistent methods that attackers use. When you try to answer what information have been accessed, you can have Azure AD, unified audit logs, mailbox audit logs, mail trace logs. Mail trace logs actually useful for you when there's no audit logs, but when someone forwards email or sends it, it remains in trace logs, and trace logs always enabled. They remain for 30 days, so you can use them for message tracing and seeing what type of messages have been sent or received actually to the tenant. And of course, e-discovery. E-discovery is useful not for actually seeing what information have been accessed, but what potentially could be accessed. You could actually extract information from user mailbox based on some search pattern, which is actually works quite well. When you do extraction with e-discovery, there are a couple of things actually worth to know. One of the things is that mailbox information is exported in PST format. You can mount that in Outlook, but it's not really, if you want to do investigation at scale, it's really not very kind of reliable or very user-friendly tool. Actually, you can export individual mailbox from PST using Python scripts, but well, some conditions apply. I mean, the PST parsers are not really so reliable, and there might be cases that you will miss some information. But it's doable. When you do search for file information in the files, of course, search works only on files which Microsoft recognizes. So usually that's Office documents, that's email platform, but if you have some other files and you expect that that Microsoft will do search on them, well, that's not the case. That's not the case. So you have to be extra careful about that when you rely on Microsoft search functionality. And one fun thing is actually if you need to export mailbox data, you have to use Internet Explorer. Nothing you can do about that. Well, you can also use Edge, which is specifically configured for extraction tool, but native way to export is Internet Explorer. Well, that's how it works. Nothing you can do about that. But otherwise this feature, this e-discovery feature, is really useful during investigation. And well, okay. We're coming to the question when we kind of try to understand how long attacker was maintaining access, what information he or she was able to access. You really want to answer also one question: how did it happen? There are multiple options actually. There might be that it was the use of compromised password. You can use have I been known website to verify whether that account password have been leaked earlier. It could be easy to guess password. It could be malware on one of the machine, which is not really something you would like to have. It could be phishing as well, and trying to search there are some techniques how you could verify whether that was phishing or not, starting from interviewing and ending checking IP addresses which are rather unique in the email tracing log, and that will show more or less quite clearly which were the phishing mails. And I was talking about investigation steps so far. Majority of the steps could be automated, and that's a good part. That's clearly a good part. There is a tool called Hawk, which actually automates majority of the tasks I was talking about. There are some other steps that I haven't mentioned, but I was focusing more or less on most common ones. And this tool is really on active development. So if you need to do investigation, this is go-to tool to start investigation. And later on you can add other tools into toolkit. Message trace and PII and sensitive information search is still manual thing, so it's not something you can automate. You can do e-discovery, you should do preservation hold manually, so this is not automated in Hawk. Well, and of course you have to analyze information yourself. So it's not something tool can do. It can help you collect some information, but be careful, it only collects part of the logs. So actually you would like to have full logs and download them on the first occasion. So really go-to tool, but it has its own limitations, and you should be aware about them. And some proactive steps. Actually, what I would do if I would need to secure Microsoft 365 tenant, first of all, I would start from Microsoft Secure Score. Microsoft Secure Score really compilation of various security metrics, and it shows very well where are the weak spots, and starting from there and the recommendation from there is a good start. Also, actually download logs periodically, and importing them into CM is a good idea. As I mentioned, for some licenses, logs are kept on Microsoft site for 90 days, for other licenses up to 1 year, but it still could be too short for you. Report phishing button is always a good idea, and it encourages users to report phishing cases, and you really want to know the phishing cases that happened in the organization, so try to have that. Disabling forwarding of the email to external domains is also something you really would like to have, because it stops quite a lot of attacks or business email compromise attacks. And of course, you already enabled Microsoft multi-factor authentication, so you're good about that. Once again, I only can repeat that there's no reason why multi-factor authentication shouldn't be enabled. Once again, repeating, questions that managers and DPO have is, what did attacker access? How many other accounts does the attacker maintain access at this moment? And who was attacker and what was his motive? And if you can answer those questions, you are good, but these answers could be challenging, at least some of them. So really, thank you for being with me today. If you have any questions, just type them in the window. And if there are no questions, then I just would like to thank you, everyone, and wish a good day.